I have these arranged in a particular order. What I'm going to call base coats, and then dominant base coats, and then light base coats. The black walnut out of all of the colors is probably the most severe. It's going to get the most reaction. It's going to be the darkest color. By comparison, all the rest of these are fairly light. They have their tonalities and they're nice, but the black walnut by far is the darkest one. So you want to kind of keep this one separated because you don't want to get it mixed up, because once they're in the bucket, it all just looks like, you know, purple water. So the sage, the olive are your green family, and then your antique teal. That has like a combination of the greens, the blues, and then of course your golden wheat, your redwood. It shows red depending on the color of concrete or the type of concrete that you're working with. It could vary. This could be, you know, a lot redder or not as red. So these are your brown families. There's yellows, browns, goldens, and reds in that family. So we're going to start with our browns first, and then we'll splash with some black walnut and just kind of work our way through this color chart. Okay, I have panels laid out here all ready to go, and the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-wet the surface. The reason why I'm doing that is because there's some form release in the machinery that makes these, and it's just, there's just a slight residue on the top. Now you can take a hose and you can spray them down. That will do fine, but what I've found is just simply take a squirt bottle, atomize the surface. It kind of bites through that. You don't have to put a lot. You don't want standing water, but what you do want is a surface that's damp so that the material will just bleed right through. Okay, the first color I'm going to use is chestnut. And out of all the colors, the 9 colors that we have, you want to just be random. So when you're working on a panel, you just want to kind of not use too much of the same color on a panel. So I'll just take this chestnut and I'm just going to lay it right in here. I'm going to be liberal with the product. Remember, this is a reactive, almost like an acid stain. That pre-wetting allows that material to just wick through. And that's it. I might do one more, maybe one of these small ones. But remember, we've got quite a few colors left. And I'll just work myself down the line. The next color is going to be fawn. It's the same. It's also very important to keep your colors in order, because once it goes on, there's no way you can tell what it is until after it's dried, which could take a couple hours. You're really just waiting for this surface material to evaporate. Next is cream. On stone surfaces like this, it might puddle up. It's okay that it puddles up. It just takes a little bit longer for it to dry. But the puddling actually creates a more severe color change. Next is redwood. Now, you've got these outside lugs right here. Make sure you get those real good. Using React is nice because it takes all of the work out of the faux finishing step or trying to make this stuff look unique. You've got a natural modeling that takes place as this material starts to work its magic. Next is golden wheat. Don't forget the outside edge. Next, I'm going to show you how to color blend. I'm going to take black walnut, which is the most severe of all the colors we have, and I'm just going to tag this top right here, just like that. Then I'm going to come back with antique teal and cover the other side. You're going to have both of these colors starting to fade together. It's going to create a various color anomaly right through here because the liquid is basically meshing together. So you have a severe color here and then a lighter color right here. You want to make sure you're relatively flat so you don't have any big runs, but for the most part we're going to take a look at what this is going to produce. I'll do a couple more. Okay, I'm going to start with chestnut. And it's even kind of cool how it just kind of bleeds out already. And I'll take olive. Okay. Now this time, I'm going to coat the entire stone. Cream is kind of a light color. And then I'm going to take black walnut and just let it splash in there. So I have cream over the whole thing, and then I've just got some splashes of black walnut. And we'll see how that looks. I'll take redwood and golden wheat. I started golden wheat, but then I'm coming back to it, so. Okay. We're going to let these dry, and we'll come back and take a look at how they turned out. Okay, now that this panel has had a chance to dry, we can see the variances that we created. In the first one, we saw black walnut with chestnut. We put the black walnut down first, and we came back with the chestnut. Very natural looking. The next one would be the redwood with the golden wheat. Very subtle, but yet still a variance and a difference. The one beneath it is the cream with the black, or I'm sorry, the cream with the dark walnut spots, where we just kind of shook the dark walnut right on top of it. And then of course the last one is the chestnut with the olive. So we've got touches of green with the browns that come through the base. This is a pretty good idea of what you're going to get when you start blending colors or splitting the stones in half. or just dabbing it and splashing it. Okay, now that we have our panels stained and you can see that they're drying, there'll still be some areas that continue to oxidize and continue to finalize out with their coloring. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take some mortar. Now, this should be the exact same mortar that you're going to use to mortar up your ends when we get those together. And you want it to be somewhat loose. It's got to be pretty loose because you're going to really essentially paint this into the joints, okay? You'll take a 3-inch chip brush and you'll just lay it right in there. It's going to splash over onto the rock, but that's okay. Don't forget your ends. All right, just work your way through. You don't want to be too liberal. You want to try to keep it in the groove as much as possible. It's probably a good idea to change out your chip brush after about 5 or 6 panels because your chip brush will be frayed and it'll distribute more Portland over the rock as well. But for the most part, if you can get into the groove, you're going to be fine. Okay, the next step is you're going to take a clean sponge. If you got a few sponges, that's even better. You're just going to get them pretty wet. You don't want to take all the water out of it. And then as you come up to your rock, you want to kind of go against the grout, against that joint. And basically what you're going to do is you're just going to take a clean edge, flip your sponge over, and just basically pull that grout off the rock. Now you don't want to wait too long because you don't want the Portland to really lock up, but if you get to it rather quickly, you'll be able to keep that Portland from coming off. Even though it looks real ashy and looks dry, it's not really locked in yet. So keep flipping your sponge, do several rocks, and then go back and clean out your sponge. The reason why you want to do that is because you don't want too much Portland to be spread across the rock. It's okay to have a little bit of Portland spread across the rock because that just kind of adds value to your stone. And you'll see as it dries, if there's any lines, you can deal with those with another clean swipe. And we're almost done. Just going across the joint, pulling most of that Portland off of there, flipping my sponge. Okay. Now, as you start to see it, if you have a lot of Portland on your sponge, you'll just continue to leave more lines. So make sure that you wash off and then pull that off. And that should be it.